Contagious Curiosity presents India vs Australia Test Rivalry, reliving thrilling matches through history. When discussing cricket's greatest rivalries, there is little doubt that the Ashes between England and Australia often takes the centre stage, captivating fans worldwide. However, another rivalry simmers with a comparable intensity, the fierce competition between India and Pakistan. With the absence of Indo-Pak cricket due to political volatility, the riveting rivalry between India and Australia has captured the cricketing world's attention. India and Australia locked horns in gripping battles on and off the pitch, transforming their clashes into one of cricket's most prestigious contests. As the indomitable Rohit Sharma and his men gear up to face Australia in the highly anticipated WTC final of 2023, which will determine the undisputed champion of Test cricket, it presents us with an opportune moment to explore the historical backdrop of their cricket rivalry. 1947-48, the first ever Test series played between India and Australia. India's first cricket tour as an independent nation in 1947 took them to Australia just 3 months after gaining independence. Led by Captain Lala Amarnath, the Indian team faced a formidable Australian side led by Donald Bradman, experiencing intense challenge from the beginning. One interesting difference during those days was that Test matches comprised 8 ball overs and lasted for 6 days, with a rest day in between. Australia was already a dominant force in cricket, led by legends like Donald Bradman and Ray Lindwall, and having recently thrashed England 4-0. India faced challenges as the key players like Rusi Modi, Vijay Merchant and Mushtaq Ali were unavailable. The scoreline clearly reflected the Australian team's dominance despite some noteworthy individual performances by the Indian players. However, as a team, the Indians struggled to offer substantial resistance. Although India did find some solace in winning 2 first-class matches and securing a draw in the Test match at Sydney Cricket Ground, which was celebrated as a victory at that time. Disappointingly, India suffered a 4-0 loss in the 5-match series. Let's explore some captivating tales from the 1947-48 Test series. This Test series witnessed the debut of the infamous man-cating style run-out. Venu Mankad caught Bill Brown a yard out of his crease, backing up too far at the bowler's end. What's interesting is that Mankad had employed this technique against Bill Brown in a practice match earlier as well. But clearly, Bill Brown did not learn his lesson. This incident sparked a heated debate that continues till date, and while it was within the laws of cricket, it was widely seen as unsportsmanlike. Surprisingly, Bradman expressed support for Mankad's actions in his autobiography. Another interesting tale from the series. Vijay Hazare, despite his modest Test bowling record, impressed in this series as he bowled out the legendary batsman Bradman twice. Surprisingly, Hazare, who had never opened the bowling in his career, was entrusted with the responsibility by Captain Amarnath in this particular series. One more tale to share. Few know that Bradman, who is known for his incredible career with a batting average of 99.94 and 29 centuries in 52 Test matches, achieved the rare feat of scoring centuries in both innings of a Test match only once. This historic moment took place in the 3rd Test match of this series held in Melbourne. Despite their disappointing performance in the Test matches, the Indian team received praise for their vibrant style of cricket during the tour. 1959-60, the tale of first ever Test victory for India over Australia. The upcoming series was touted as an epic clash between favourites and underdogs based on both teams' performances leading up to the tour. The Australian team, led by Richie Benaud, arrived in India with an impressive record of 11 victories in their last 16 tests with no defeats. In contrast, India was struggling, losing 11 out of their last 13 tests and facing challenges in all aspects of the game, batting, bowling, fielding, and leadership. In the series opener at Delhi, Australia dominated India, securing a commanding victory by an innings and 127 runs. The Indian team entered the next match in Kanpur with a low morale. However, an unexpected hero, Jasu Patel, emerged from obscurity and delivered a sensational performance. The unassuming off-spinner's remarkable display of taking 14 wickets led India to their first ever victory against Australia after 10 encounters. His brilliant bowling figures of 9 for 69 in the first innings turned the tide. Patel continued his impressive form in the second innings as well, taking another 5-wicket haul. His exceptional performance made him a national hero and earned him the prestigious Padma Shri award. Few know that this was the last series of his international career. India headed into the third test match in Mumbai with a newfound vigour and displayed great determination to secure a draw in the match. However, in the fourth test match, India's batting collapse proved costly as they succumbed to a loss by an innings and 55 runs. In the fifth test match, despite India's determined efforts, they could only settle for a draw. With the scoreline 2-1 in favour of Australia, this marked India's most successful campaign against Australia until then. 1964-65 series, an epic first ever series draw between India and Australia. India's initial two home series against Australia in 1956-57 and 1959-60 yielded disappointing results, with only one victory in 8 tests. Bob Simpson's Australians aimed for a hat-trick of a series win in India during the 1964-65 tour. They were riding high as they had not lost a single test series in the last 8 years. India, on the other hand, was captained by the stylish Mansoor Ali Khan Pataudi, who at 21 years became the youngest test captain at that time. This series marked a significant shift as India aimed to pose a challenge to the Australian team, resulting in a final score of 1-1. It is noteworthy that in each of the 3 test matches played, India managed to take a lead after the first innings, a feat that was unprecedented in the history of India-Australia encounters. The series began in Chennai with India succumbing to a disappointing 139-run loss. Despite their defeat in the first test, India was determined not to back down. They headed into the second test at Brabant Stadium in Mumbai, where India had an unbeaten record. Little did they know that this match would become one of India and Australia's most famous encounters. Both teams were evenly poised after the first innings, with India taking a narrow lead of 21 runs. Pataudi played a gritty knock of 86 runs, aided by the tailenders. In the crucial second innings, the young leg spinner Bhagwat Chandrasekhar swiftly claimed 2 wickets in successive deliveries, turning the game in India's favour. Bapu Nadkarni's crucial wicket of Bob Cowper infused a new zest into the Indian team and triggered a collapse in the Australian batting lineup. To Australia's horror, they lost the last 7 wickets for just 28 runs. They were eventually dismissed for 274, setting India a daunting target of 254 to win. To put this into perspective, no team had ever chased down a target of more than 76 runs in a test match on Indian soil until then. India's innings got off to a rough start, with the team finishing at 74 for 3 at the end of day 4, setting up a thrilling final day. On the final day, India lost 3 quick wickets, adding only 48 runs to their chase. With 132 still to get, the spectators started feeling jitters in their stomach. However, Pataudi and Manjrekar staged a remarkable partnership of 93 runs, taking India just 39 runs shy of a victory. In a thrilling climax, Alan Connolly struck back, dismissing the set batsman. Fortunately for India, Chandu Borde sealed the victory with a straight drive to 4, igniting jubilant celebrations in the stadium. The test match exemplified India's resurgence under the leadership of Pataudi against a relentless Australian side. In his autobiography Tiger's Tale, the Indian captain described the stirring victory as the most satisfying he had known as a captain. With renewed vigor, Pataudi's team headed to Kolkata with an aspiration to become the first Indian team to beat Australia in a Test series. However, the series ended in a tame draw due to rain with a 1-all scoreline. Indian fans still celebrated this unprecedented outcome against Australia. 1969-70 series, where cricket met with protests and riots. The next series in line is the infamous Australia Tour of India, which ended with a 3-1 victory for the visitors. The intriguing aspect of this series started behind the scenes in the selection room. Despite being a promising off-spinner with impressive performances, Srinivas Venkatraghavan was surprisingly omitted from the team by the selectors. This decision caused a significant uproar and protests ensued. Subrata Guha, a medium pacer, displayed an unprecedented act of selflessly stepping down to make room for Venkat. Venkat eventually made it to the team list before the toss. The first test match of the series in Mumbai witnessed extraordinary events, including controversy, riots, and public outrage. After the first innings, the test was balanced, but India collapsed in the second innings, reaching 89 for 7 as the Australian bowlers wreaked havoc on a sprint-friendly track. Venkat supported Wadekar, adding 24 runs before an infamous incident occurred. With the score at 113 for 7, Connolly delivered a wideish ball and Venkat attempted a slash. The ball went through to wicketkeeper Brian Tabor, and despite only a solitary appeal from the gully fielder, umpire Shambhu Pan raised his finger. The crowd watched in disbelief as Venkat walked off, while a surprised Tabor commented, "He missed it by a foot." Radio commentator Devraj Puri expressed a similar disbelief on the airwaves. The crowd, already frustrated by the team's poor performance, also reacted in disbelief. An opinion floated that Laurie should have recalled the batsman, but he clearly lacked diplomacy. Consequently, the stands erupted in flames and spectators began throwing bottles and chairs onto the ground. Jahangir Irani, an official scorer, urged for the match to be halted as it had become difficult to observe the proceedings due to the billowing smoke. But his request was brushed aside. Eventually, the score maintained by the commentators in the All India radio box was accepted by both captains. The police spurred into action, and to their immense credit, India continued playing. The day's cricket concluded, but the action continued. As the Australian players made their way to the dressing rooms, several of them picked up stumps for self-defense and sought safety under the dressing room showers as bottles shattered windows. On the fifth day, chasing a small target of 64 runs, Australia secured a commanding 8-wicket victory, taking a 1-0 lead in the 5-match series. The second test match was a tame draw on a placid Kanpur wicket. In the third test match in Delhi, India levelled the series with a thrilling 7-wicket victory, thanks to Bishan Singh Bedi's remarkable match figures of 9 for 108. However, India faltered after the third test match and suffered comprehensive defeats in the next two matches in Kolkata and Chennai, ultimately conceding the series 3-1 to Australia. 1977-78 series. India came close to scripting history in Australia. India toured Australia after a decade, while the Australian team faced challenges due to absence of several star players who had joined the World Series cricket tournament organised by Kerry Packer. Former captain Bob Simpson was brought back from retirement to lead the team, and remarkably, he emerged as the highest run scorer for his side. Meanwhile, India had a strong batting lineup with players like Sunil Gavaskar, Dilip Vengsarkar, Mohinder Amarnath and Gundappa Vishwanath. Their bowling unit included spin wizards Erapalli Prasanna, Bishan Singh Bedi and B. Chandrasekhar, along with the pace bowling of Madan Lal and Amarnath. The series provided an enthralling display of cricket with fierce competition between bat and ball in all the test matches. Australia started the series by winning the first two test matches in Brisbane and Perth, as they held their nerves, securing narrow wins by 16 runs and 2 wickets respectively. India staged a remarkable comeback in the third and fourth test matches, levelling the series and setting up a decider. The third test victory was dominant in Melbourne with a 222-run margin. Gavaskar shone with the bat while Chandrasekhar and Bedi spun a web, claiming 18 out of 20 Australian wickets, an unprecedented achievement on Australian soil. In the fourth test in Sydney, India achieved their first ever historic innings victory over Australia. The entire team, including the tail-enders, made significant contribution to the batting charts. The Indian spinners were outstanding, claiming 16 out of 20 Australian wickets, sending a real scare to the Australians. Heading into the nail-biting fifth test in Adelaide, India came close to scripting history as the first Asian side to win a test series in Australia. However, fell just 47 runs short of the record chase of 492, an impressive effort at that time. Despite the 2-3 series loss, the Indian team showed unwavering courage throughout the tour. This marked their rise as a formidable test cricket force. The tour ended with the promise of many memorable India-Australia encounters in the years to come. This video highlights the clear dominance of Australia in the first 3 decades of their rivalry with India. Join us in the next innings of India vs Australia Test rivalry, reliving thrilling matches through history as we uncover the saga of the next 45 years. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share with friends and family to receive notification for our upcoming video.